Hi guys, my name is Jagelmeister, and recently I've been just completely enamored by Undertale. Like seriously, this game is the best I've played thus far in 2016, and is probably going to be among my favorites of all time. I'll save my incoherent ramblings about how great this game is for another time though. Today I want to talk about my second favorite thing about Undertale, the characters. And certainly among its diverse cast, none are as complex and layered as Sans the Skeleton. Between Goat Mom and Goat Dad, Sans is the first and the last monster you meet in your journey. Game theory describes him as the arbiter of the underground, and to be honest, that's a well-based conclusion. At the end of the game, he judges you for the morality of your journey. Every monster you've killed and every monster you've spared will come into account here. Some endings reek of anticlimax, and others hype you up for the encounter you'll have with Asgore that follows. But if you purposely go out of your way and kill every monster, grinding in conventional RPG terms, then the game takes a dark turn. True Undertale fans know this as the Genocide Run or the No Mercy Run. If you go down this path, Sans will judge you accordingly, and this time he'll fight you. Sans is widely considered the hardest boss in the game, since Flowey's bullet rain gives you, the nicety of checkpoints. And many people have speculated who he is, and how that ties in with, his enigmatic character throughout the story. But today I want to talk about how. How is Sans so powerful? I want to preface the following observations by giving credit where it's due. This is not my theory. I just realized no one's made a video about it, and Let's Plays I've seen, the people playing it have asked the same question.
Sans. How is Sans so powerful?
My source is a Reddit post, which I'll link in the description below. Just consider this a presentation of a discussion of ideas, for the convenience of YouTube viewers. There are two prevailing theories as to how Sans is so powerful. Number one is the determination theory, and number two is quantum physics. We'll get to both of these in a moment, but in this case, it really is necessary to establish some background just so we know exactly what we're dealing with here. Sans, despite being the hardest boss, is still technically the easiest enemy of the game. He has the lowest stats with 1 attack and 1 defense, but he uses this ability called Karma. This appears as the letters KR next to your health bar in his fight. Karma functions as poison wood in your standard RPG, with it slowly draining your HP after getting hit by an enemy. Sans is the only one that uses it, but consider what it means. Karma. Which, in case you're not familiar with, Hindu canon, it's the concept of what goes around comes around. And this is definitely manifested in Sans' fight. Texts like, you feel your sins crawling on your back, and karma coursing through your veins reinforce the attitude that you are really receiving retribution for your misconduct. I bring this up because it's a way for me to segue into Sans' determination. Along with Undyne, Sans is the most determined monster to see you die. Even Flowey just likes death as a method to play with you. Undyne wants to kill you to save monsterkind and mankind because she knows how big of a threat you are, but Sans knows that the consequences of letting you live are much more dire than just the immediate death of monsterkind and mankind. I'll get into his fear later, but just know that he wants you killed ASAP. Karma is a great way to illustrate this. How does determination translate into fighting? Littered throughout the game are hints that monsters are much more pliable with determination than humans. You can find these in the libraries, the bookshelves, and of course, Alphys' true laboratory. It even goes to the extent that it resurrects their bodies into terrifying and deformed amalgamates. It's their vitality. It's what sustains their souls regardless of the body's compliance. It's the essence of their life's wavelength. So when a monster's determined, they become that much stronger. If you notice, the weakest enemies in the game are extremely timid and usually have zero will to fight you. Take for example, Whimsun, boom, dead in one blow. Papyrus, done. Genocide Toriel, kaput. Genocide Asgore, nope. I think you get the point. I kind of have suspicions about Mettaton Neo, but he's a robot, so whatever. That's not to say it doesn't affect humans. It affects them greatly, in an almost anime-like fashion, like, if I just believe in myself, I'll become OP. Which leads us back to our buddy Sans. You, first possessed by Chara, are determined to, spoiler, see the end of the entire world. Sans knows that's what you want, and he's determined to not let you do that. So what's illustrated here is a kind of determination gridlock, with both sides equally as desperate to eliminate the other. Conceptually, that's what this fight is built around. For example, when you spare Sans, you are essentially giving up the will to fight, and in the same manner that a jerkish player would exploit an enemy's mercy, Sans will exploit yours. He sees your vulnerability in your mercy and proceeds to, quote-unquote, dunk you, and thusly has triumphed over you in his determination to kill you. On the other hand, when you're slowly beating Sans, you can see his will start to ebb away. Your determination is toppling over his. In fact, my friend kind of verified this with his personal Sans fight. I know anecdote doesn't account for much, but it's just really interesting how he said, "I was only able to beat Sans when I was most determined to do so." It's like cross-verification or something. As cool as the determination theory is, there are enormous plot holes left unchecked solely from relying on that presumption. How does Sans teleport? How is he able to dodge? How does he eliminate your invincibility frames? And how is he able to work into the fabric of the game, accessing things like saves and resets? Well, my friend, the answer lies in quantum physics. Quantum physics, for those of you who are uninformed, is an almost entirely theoretical science built upon the principle that our universe exists in multiple dimensions. Science fiction and fantasy absolutely adore this concept, as it allows them to weave together seemingly disconnected ideas and worlds by a scientific mean. I'm no expert in this, nor do I want to be, but Sans certainly is. It's heavily implied, I might even say explicitly implied, that Sans comes from a scientific background. Firstly, he has a laboratory behind his house. Second, in his fight he mentions, "Our reports showed a massive anomaly in the space-time continuum, timelines jumping left and right, stopping and starting, that could definitely be connected with the multiverse theory." And finally, there's the connection with W.D. Gaster. This is a huge topic for another time, but W.D. Gaster is an enigmatic figure that could previously only be encountered by hacking. He appears to be a ghost, or as I perceived it, a skeleton with a fractured skull. My presumption is that Gaster is either the father of, or the older brother to Sansa Papyrus. I don't know for sure, but what's definite is that a connection is there, because you know those lasers that Sans uses in fight? They're called Gaster blasters. So why does this connection matter? Well, besides the mystery himself, 3 other black and white creatures can be discovered referencing Gaster by hacking values into the game. One being a rendition of the elusive Ficus Licker, the spider bake sale guy, and an apparently really insecure bird that doesn't appear anywhere else in the game. I don't know what's up with this guy. They say that after he quote-unquote fell into his work, he was shredded across time and space. From this we can infer that his research is similar to quantum physics, and by correlation, Sans has knowledge of this pursuit as well. And from this we can garner that Sans has knowledge of, and the tools necessary to navigate the workings of the universe which he's in. This allows him to completely exploit his one attack by dealing like 1 damage 60 times per second, or he dodges, or he can teleport, or he can use karma. He pretty much destroys all the common conventions the game established, but without getting additional souls like Flowey. He's pretty much a cheater. He doesn't play by the rules of life. I know it's a pretty lame excuse to just say quantum physics as an end-all explanation for Sans' abilities, but in this case, it's truly applicable and logical. What's my take on all of this? Well, what I believe is a compromise in both ideas. Sans' inherent weakness is compromised with his tools as a quantum physicist. He's able to work around his extremely low attack and defense. And these abilities are made truly deadly with his determination. And this is just about his combat. Consider the plethora of videos discussing his background, his various Easter eggs, and his odd connections with other characters. It's this immense complexity belying a silly prankster that makes Sans my favorite character in the entire game. He's just on that INFJ game, man. I don't know what else I could say. Hit me up 100, check out my mixtape. Anyways, if you liked the video, be sure to subscribe as I make other videos dealing with topics like this. It wouldn't be a stretch to say I'll be making another Undertale video in the future since it's so awesome and so interesting to me. Of course, I'm always open to suggestions for interesting topics, so be sure to leave any of your inquiries in the comments below. I'll be sure to read them. So, I guess this is it for now, and I'll see you guys when I make another video. Bye.